What's up, webheads? In today's video I'm going to review issue 695 of The Amazing Spider-Man and sort of give my thoughts, predicts regarding the ending of this series in the issue 700, as well as express my thoughts on who the superior Spider-Man might be. Firstly, I'd like to explain to you guys that I'm not going to review every single comic book since like today. Right, and the reason I'm doing this one is because a great comic book series are about to end, and probably it will have a dramatic end, so I want to face it and experience it together with you guys. Now things are definitely close to its end, and the fact that Miss Carpenter, our fellow and current Madam Web, is throwing out her prophecies, like our ending approaches, just makes it more obvious. What's really surprising is that she actually mentions that the end, which is coming, will be actually hers. Now, that's thought-provoking, isn't it? Well, what's happening in this issue is basically a hobgoblin, on behalf of Kingpin's order, is playing on Spidey nerves. They've got a fight in the beginning of the issue, but thankfully, Peter managed to create a special Earth plug device to counter Hobgoblin's sonic laugh, well, just to find out later on that his fellow co-worker Tiberius Stone is in fact working for Kingpin and Hobgoblin. Apparently, while Spidey was fighting Hobgoblin, Tiberius managed to set up a special device which will bring Spidey's sense into a chaotic state later on. Meanwhile, Madam Web decided to send her daughter on vacation, just to, quote, give her some time. Tiberius gets back to Kingpin and tries to call him by saying that his device did not fail, but instead is now fully developed and ready to give Spidey some troubles. Now click, and on the next page Spidey's sense goes bizarre. I mean, Peter is forced to believe that every single person around him is in great danger, dazzled and confused. He leaves the building just to find out later on that his Spider sense is now in a totally chaotic state, misinforming him and, disturbing him. I mean, what's really happened is that Tiberius, somehow using his device, or actually devices, which he put all over New York City, he managed to mess up with Spider sense in a way that it became way too sensitive and bizarre. I mean, as you can see, Peter sees things like he never did before, believing that a paper cut, and a static shock, a puncture wounds might damage Nora or everyone around her. As I mentioned before, later on Peter leaves the building, Daily Bugle, and he just goes around in the street like confused. Guess what? He gets gassed and kidnapped by Hobgoblin. Now when Peter was behaving in a way he never did, like being freaked out about his spider sense while in the office with Phil and Nora, Phil somehow managed to discover Peter's true identity. And since now, things are gone really bad. Now this brings me to the final 700 issue and possible ending, as well as Superior Spidey and his real identity. Somehow, something huge is going to happen, and I'm pretty sure it has to do with revealing Peter's identity. And I'm not talking about Hobgoblin and Kingpin only, but in a global scale. And this happened before. I mean, a huge reveal of Spidey's identity when Peter had to ask Doctor Strange help in order to make people forget who the real Spidey is. And apparently it's going to happen once again. I'm pretty sure they won't kill Peter. We've had enough with Ultimate one, but instead, as a person, simply disappears. And as many of you guys mentioned before in my videos, he will probably fake his death. Boom, Peter Parker is gone. He was Spider-Man. Alright, let's move on. So let's imagine he's a superior spider now, with perhaps a different name. That as well explains his reuniting with Mary Jane Watson, since after faking his death, Peter will probably feel lonely and depressive, and since Peter Parker simply doesn't exist anymore. So the only person that will help and support him will probably be Mary Jane Watson. Now, clothes. Yeah, I'm talking about clothes. It might be actually Kane, and I'm being serious right now. Perhaps his mutation gets back and he becomes disformed once again. Cause guys, that stuff ain't human-like. Either that or these are some of the consequences after the issue 700, something that made Peter look that way. Well, we'll see. And here's a fun thing. Phil, the new hobgoblin, pretty much like Peter Parker, has an uncle named Ben, and he does work for Daily Bugle as well, and he takes pictures of actually himself. And by saying that I mean hobgoblin. Alright, I said that. Now you make something out of it, perhaps another scenario. Alright guys, I'm very curious about your thoughts, so make some comments, express your theories, and I'm out.